Welcome back to Sims Complete. I'm Matt Sims. He's Phil Sims. And big guy, we got some things to talk about your home team, Big Blue, the New York Giants. They're going through it, man. They're going through the process of evaluating these young quarterbacks that are coming out for this draft. We got Sheduer Sanders, Tyler Shuck, and Jalen Milroe all going to have a private workout with the New York Giants. Of course, the big name on that list that everyone is talking about and discussing all throughout the media airwaves is Shedeur Sanders.
Okay. Well, first off, it's your home team too, since you live in this area and everything, and you do a lot of stuff.
I played for the Jets, man. It's different.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. It's Jets, Giants. Same thing. It is.
Yeah. Okay.
And, too, I look like I just got out of a microwave here, man.
You look good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I look good. Yeah. Peeling like a lizard. But, the dermatologist who's in town, thank God. It's rough, man. That's all I can say. But yeah, let's I don't even know where to begin with all this about these workouts. I do like this point. The Giants really late in the process. They haven't picked the guy they think for sure wherever they're going to draft and all that. Right. But I would think if you're looking for a quarterback, this is kind of how I'd like to go about it. Let's wait as close as we can before the draft to go there and work these guys out. And I'm going to talk a lot about this. There's a difference between a pro day and private workouts. The pro day, the quarterback and his buddy and his guru get to determine how we're going to do this and all that. But when you do a workout for the team, they're going to tell you what they want, and we want you to show it to us. So I think it's a huge difference. And I always pick on this, but I'm going to do it again. I heard on TV by the great experts at ESPN. All these workouts. I mean, come on. What? These pro days, all this, it's worthless. If they're so worthless, why does nobody in the NFL think that? They all go there to these workouts. And to get Matt, you can watch film and think you got one guy. And then you go and see him work out in person. And what do? You go, holy Christ, that's not what I expected. And that changes your opinion. And it's a big one, too, in that respect. So, I like these workouts, all that stuff. And, I kind of stop there before I go into the Shedeur and what we're looking at and talking about.
Well, just, tell me this. For the New York Giants, why are they working out the quarterback so late when they have potentially been tied to, quote unquote, drafting a quarterback this upcoming class? What do you think is the reasoning behind the late evaluation of this particular position group?
Well, a couple things, as we say all the time. I hear it and people say it. It's written. It's on TV every day. I don't understand why so-and-so's falling. And they're not. And once again, they're not falling. It's the NFL people now evaluating, and all the people that come on TV. Good for you. I wouldn't want to do mock drafts and all that. But now you're taking their information, which is not, it's counter to yours. And of course, they're going to adjust accordingly. So guys rise and fall. There's a reason why they rise and fall. Most likely 100% or 99% of it is that the NFL sees something different than the evaluators who are talking about it. Mm-hmm. And, so I don't even know what your question was, Matt, but I got that out there.
That'll work for now. But yeah. For the New York Giants, right, first round pick, third pick of the draft for this year. And then in round 2, they have pick number 34. Do you believe that they can find their quarterback of the future at 34 potentially still? I mean, what is your over-under for quarterbacks taken in this year's first round? Do you think that we're going to get a surprise third or fourth? Jalen Milroe, I believe, has been reported up until this point to now be invited to Green Bay, and it does look like he will potentially attend the draft in Green Bay, which is typically only for people who believe they're going in the first round. So yep. Do you feel like there's this late surge now of these quarterbacks moving up the ladder on particular draft boards?
Yeah, more information is getting out. Everybody's starting to get it in the public, and all the media and everything too. So they're finding out what the NFL thinks about them. That's one thing. The Giants, will they be able to get their quarterback of the future of the second pick of the second round? I would say no. I think they're in a position, depending on who's picked by Cleveland Browns, number 2. Is Abdul Carter, if he falls to you, is that a lock? And the other question is, if Abdul Carter goes to the Cleveland Browns, will they feel the same way about Travis Hunter? I think they will, but just for me that does this bit like you with this business, I would say the biggest impact in long-term, whatever you say, Abdul Carter. I mean, if anybody out there hasn't watched him, go watch a couple games, just type in and get a few of his highlight plays.
Right.
He is as fast as anybody I've seen come around the edge, and I'm including all the pros and everything. And was it really just did he get to play the edge at all, Matt, the year before? Or was it all just this year where they stuck him on the edge and he got this done?
Yeah, he's been an edge player, and that's kind of what he's been made his name known for. But for Abdul Carter, does the injury thing, does that concern you at all? Or are you just saying, hey, he's the best player available. If he's there at 3, we got to take him despite the injuries that he's been battling?
Man, yeah, it concerns me. And I got to make sure that we feel really, really confident that this is not going to be a problem.
Okay. With
that pick, his talent and everything, yeah, and the way he plays, my gosh, he could come around the edge and we've talked about it many times, but you can almost stick him anywhere. Hell, right. When he was a middle linebacker sometimes, because they were trying to get him in good situations, he always takes advantage of it.
Right.
And man, he's slick, limber, all those things, and lightning fast.
Yeah.
And against good teams, and usually when I evaluate all these guys at whatever the position, I try to match them up, and I know you do too, against good teams and maybe good players.
Right.
Like, edge rushers, I want to see them go against the teams that, man, they got pro offensive linemen out there, and you can really evaluate doing that. So I saw all that with Abdul Carter. It didn't matter who he played. He wrecked it. Right. Quarterbacks, they got an eye on him all the time in college, and they escaped a lot. I mean, hell, he could have had 25 sacks, but he caused a lot of havoc too. So, yeah, that's a huge deal. You got to know almost 100% that this foot's not going to be a problem for him.
All right, and then for let's go back to that quarterback situation again.
Yeah, let's do it. Got it.
Is pick 34? Let's just use the Giants as an example. Let's not say that the Giants are particularly going to draft these two quarterbacks, but is pick 34 in your eyes still too high for Tyler Shuck and still too high for Jalen Milroe? Currently, how you've seen them during their evaluation process?
Tyler Shuck's evaluation, I thought everything I've done, I liked him, no doubt. Hell, I went back and watched him at Texas Tech, Matt. And you know what I saw? I saw a leaner, faster, really a lot of quarterback runs at Texas Tech offense back then. And here's what else I saw. And I didn't see this enough when he was at Louisville. Man, he let it go. He was planting that back foot, and it was balls to the walls. And he was firing it. And I wrote right away, oh my gosh, look at this, who you were. Do that again. Don't build yourself up and think that's going to, and don't do it. Just be the athlete that he was, and his speed and just everything. It was really special. Now I know he's been through injuries, which probably slows you down a little. You train differently and all that. Right. But at number 34, yes, I think he's definitely a value pick right there. I really do. Because you and I know what about Jeff Brom. Go ahead. Tell me about Jeff Brom.
Oh, that he's just a really good football coach. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to coach quarterbacks. He knows how to teach quarterbacks. I think a good blend of the NFL and the college world and kind of meshing the two. And we know that he's demanding of his quarterbacks. So Tyler Shuck obviously can endure a good ass ripping from his head coach and from his offensive coordinator, who also was a quarterback. So he got to see a coach look at it through that same lens at the position. So yeah, that's definitely, I think, a big benefit to him going forward.
Yeah, he's not tender. I always like to say it's just not tender.
He's not tender. That's a good way to say it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, coach. You're right. By God, I'm going to do it. Or throw a few first words at him, and that'll get the conversation really going.
Absolutely. And Coach Brom, you've spoken with him this offseason. And you said that he even mentioned that about Tyler Shuck, that he does have a little something to him. He's got a little extra juice and salt and vinegar, for everybody.
Got a little in the throat, baby. It's waiting to come up. And too, I will say this. Why are these pro days so good? You watch the tape, and like to say, the tape can lie a little bit. You got to be careful. But when you're in person, it doesn't lie. And when he played this year for Louisville, it was really good. Very good decision maker, mobile enough that it's going to be a factor in the NFL. His arm is solid. It's not great. But shoot, I kind of forgot how I was going to phrase that or whatever. But when you work him out privately, now you can say, hey, come on, let's just drop back. We're going to throw this route. And I want, let's put some steam on it here. Yeah. This is the NFL. What happens in the NFL? Hey, you got less time to throw when the windows are smaller. So people that say the arm strength is overrated, well, they're dumbasses. I don't know what else to tell you. Speed is overrated at wide receiver. Oh, really? Is it? Okay. Yeah. But whatever. So you get to see that. And when he did his pro day, Tyler Shuck, it was one of the first things I wrote on there. Oh my God. How much of these I got to fall backwards and go sideways and throw the ball to show them? I mean, you did it 20 times. Let it go. Now let's just drop back, throw the damn ball from the pocket, and see if we can get it done.
Yeah.
I heard on TV this morning, I believe it too. I think it was Peter Schrager just said there's been a couple coaches tell him that they think he's the best looking quarterback out there and the most pro ready of all of them. So that just kind of tells you there's some teams out there that see this whole quarterback thing differently. Now I'm going to switch it around. Okay, Shedeur. We talked about his pro day that we thought too careful, whatever. But always, what do we talk about when we say, as we evaluate quarterbacks, Matt? What do you know how I'm asking these questions? In other words, what do we look for first?
I'm not exactly sure what you're asking.
Give me some traits that are going to make it in pro football. And don't tell me about all this other. I want to know physical traits that are going to make you a good or solid potential whatever NFL quarterback. And I'll say this to you, Shedeur, go. What are you going to tell me?
I mean, I think for Shedeur, it really is what the physical trait is. His best physical trait, I think, that he has, that he's just tough as hell in the pocket. That really is like his calling card, I feel like, is that he is durable. He can take hits. He can get beat up, and he still hangs in there and delivers the ball in big time situations for the Colorado Buffaloes. Now, arm strength, it's good. It's solid. The accuracy, I think, is good. I wouldn't say that it's just like ridiculous, but he does have really good accuracy down the field. But yeah, I would say that more so it's like his pocket toughness and sometimes his pocket movement that really is the best attribute physically that he has on the football field.
Yeah. When I think about traits, I mean, is it size? Is that his calling card?
He's kind of
a big dude.
Yeah. But no, he's not. He doesn't have size or the physical presence that, is imposing. So, no, that's not it. He doesn't have the mobility where you would say that he is like a real threat as a runner in the NFL, like we've seen others. He'd be a good scrambler and a good improviser that way. But the arm strength, like you said earlier, I mean, like I just mentioned, so that those three things right there. Right. So now it's all the other things. Does he throw with anticipation at times? Yes, he does. He does do that well. But, now, it's still not enough, I think, for you, what you're saying, for a team to pick someone like that at 3 when you don't fill in those other boxes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think, when you talk about the 3rd pick, I can't see that.
Yeah.
And maybe I've been lying and say maybe I see it or whatever, because I think the Giants are thinking that way. And, I do that sometimes. I chicken out on what I'm going to say because I don't want to be too harsh, especially on young kids. But he plays big. I'll give him that. But taking hits in the pocket, escaping outside the pocket, that was pretty good in Colorado, no doubt. But that is not even thought of or good in the NFL.
Right.
The pocket's going to collapse faster. Your movement is going to be whatever it is. Let's say it was 100% at Colorado. It's going to be 20% now in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You escape that pocket, man, you better get rid of that damn ball because they got defensive tackles that weigh 350 to run your butt down. So, that kind of bothers me. And then I hear on TV, if he's the third pick, why do they say, well, he needs to probably play in a dome? I mean, can he play in the – and this is what I'll get into. I do think Shedeur Sanders' physical abilities, if they're tweaked a little bit, will be borderline really good. I mean, it looks like he's got long arms, big hands, whatever. He can manipulate the football when he needs to. But the style that he uses throwing sometimes is just not conducive of being really big-time accurate in the NFL.
Right.
And people can sit there, what the hell am I talking about? Well, I'm not going to get into it. Trust me, I know. And I just see certain things he does throwing the football that kind of, I think, don't show the true talent that he probably has.
Yeah, right. And really, you're talking more technically about his motion, and how he approaches his motion. And you're right. We've seen that too in the NFL, where guys slowly improve their throwing motion because they're watching other pros. They're watching film of other high level football players within the division, across the league as they prepare for teams. And of course that gets you thinking about what you do technically on your own part. And you're right. I do think that there's a little bit more in the tank for Shedeur to develop more as a dynamic passer of the football.
Let me say this.
Yeah.
I think potentially he can be a big time thrower. When I say thrower, I mean step on the gas and make that throw. As Bill Parcells, you hear me tell all these dumb stories. He's playing the Green Bay Packers, and I'm doing a show with him. Brett Favre throws about a 25-yard touchdown in between three defenders. So we're doing the show, and we show the play, and Coach Parcells goes, why do you think he threw that? And I said, Bill, because he knew he could get it in there.
All right.
Parcells goes, yeah, I think you're right. And I was like, so is it – I really do. I think physically he has the traits to be a great may be too much, but a really, really good thrower.
Yeah.
A power thrower. That's what he, to hell with all this touch stuff. Anybody can throw it 5 yards and stick it to somebody. Man,
Right.
Can you rip an in cut where it's tight? Corners, I didn't see enough of that at Colorado. And of course, a lot of that had to do with the offense. But I think you and I kind of agree on it. If you don't agree, please say it. But I think you're right. Year one, you don't control the football in the pros exactly the way you want. You watch other guys, and then you kind of stumble into, I got to change a little bit. It's not dramatic. And you make that little change it this much, and it means this much, for your performance on the field.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. It goes a long way. And I think that's the one thing that even guys like Shuck, Sanders, Milroe, and I want to get to him here in a second too, that they're going to be a little surprised by in the NFL, by even guys that maybe they didn't think were quote unquote like really good quality NFL football players.
Yes.
Or even if they're around guys that really are super talented early on in their football career. The fact that I'll use Jared Goff as an example. I mean, nobody fires the football more aggressively down the middle of a defense on deep in cuts and rhythm play action passes than Jared Goff. And that's something that early on in his career, his environment, his ability, all that, none of that stuff was matching. And as he continued to gain confidence, to work through it, to improve his mechanics, to just trust his coaching and all that kind of stuff and play more confidently, we see that more and more, right? We see that as a regular part of his football game. And actually, really, the strength of his football game is to just rip in cuts over and around hook defenders and linebackers. And it's really impressive. And I think that's something that we haven't seen from Shedeur as much on film because it wasn't asked of him.
Right.
So that is where now for us as the evaluators, can we project him into potentially being that player at the next level. And, even to use Russell Wilson as an example, Russell's ability to extend plays and be athletic. Russell was a really good runner and a strong runner and very elusive early on in his career.
Right.
Even though we kind of have labeled Shedeur in that same sense as far as extending plays and being elusive and all that kind of stuff, right? It's not like Russell. It's not to that same extent.
No.
That's right. So, he's already kind of starting a few notches below that as far as athleticism and creating for himself. I think we even saw that too for a few of the young quarterbacks last year who we thought were good athletes, a la Caleb Williams, where he tried to do some of that stuff he was doing at USC, and it didn't go as well as he thought it would go. The defensive ends and defensive tackles and linebackers closed that gap that much faster. So these are all going to be adjustments that way. Don't be that disgusted that I mentioned Sheduer and Russell and they're scrambling like that. I saw that face, man, but you know what I'm saying?
Oh, no. No, I think the separation is just it's really big. And what Shedeur is going to learn, and he'll learn it fast. He'll learn in practice that, okay, I got to quicken this up or whatever. So that's the easy part. We always say this and we believe it. If you don't throw the ball better in your second year than you did your first, then you ain't the man. And I'm going to go back to Jared Goff. He's not an aggressive thrower. He's an arrogant thrower.
Yeah.
I mean, he's arrogant. I mean, the guy struggled, I thought, physically throwing the football with the Rams. We saw that many times. If it was, and I hate to say it all this, but I see it every now and then. Even now, when he goes on the road, sometimes Jared Goff, wind it's affected the way he throws. And he's done a couple games. I'm not sure. I think they had one game last year. Did he wear gloves? I can't remember. I know he did. Typically
in bad weather, he's a double glove kind of guy.
And very smart, and he really handles them well once you get used to it. So, but so Shedeur, we're saying all this, and I think the Giants, if they see enough, I think he's the guy the Giants really want in the draft. I really kind of think that maybe they thought at third pick they would take Shedeur if he wasn't taking one or two. Okay. And then as time went on, as they started studying, they went, well, we don't. Okay, so now they've moved back. I don't think they'll take him at third.
Right.
And it'll say a lot that they find a way to get back in the first round to take him. That'll just tell me once again that I think they really believe maybe they believe in the person as much or more than they do just the physical abilities.
Well, I think that's where people like me and other people who like Shedeur as well, that's kind of like our calling card for him or what we really defend our case with as far as him as a football player. It's just the fact that he's been under a lot of scrutiny in his career. That's going to continue no matter what. He's always going to be evaluated from a different, I feel like, viewpoint because of his father, the background and all that, the way that he carries himself and all that. And I've said that too. I kind of like the fact that he is that way, that he is confident, that he comes across as arrogant sometimes, that he does have a little swagger to him. And those things to me are important. And that's where I feel like, I go back to that as my ultimate defense of I just kind of believe in the guy and the person to be able to battle and deal with adversity, right? And to be tough. And I hope that with maturity and being in that locker room and being in that weight room and getting a little bit more into the NFL craft, that he is going to evolve and become a better football player. And I see it just as much for him as I did for guys like Sam Darnold coming out, where Sam Darnold was like a little bit more reserved, but Sam didn't really do things physically that really oh, wow, look at this. Look at his mobility. Look at his arm strength. He's probably got he showed a little bit more arm strength on film in college. But overall, I do feel like they're very similar in a sense of you kind of see all the pieces you need to be a really good NFL quarterback, but there isn't anything that really makes you say, wow, there's something actually super special about them either physically.
Yeah. I would say this.
If you like that comp or not.
What's that?
I said, I'm not sure if you like that comp or not, but that's kind of like a good example, I feel like, of a player that fits someone in that same category or that same thing? Like, do you just believe in the person and the decision maker and the ability to overcome adversity, right? And that being said, Sam's done that. It's taken him a while, but he's gotten there.
I listen, there are many quarterbacks that have done it on sheer willpower. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to have success.
Right.
And don't take this wrong. It's almost, this is life and death.
Right.
If this doesn't work, it's going to bother you for the rest of your life.
Right.
And which it does. And so if he's that type of guy, which honestly, I believe it, being a Sanders, Dion, he's out there, whatever, that put pressure on him, but he took that pressure and said, hey, I don't care what, by God, I'm going to succeed. Yeah. And that is, come on, you know it and I know it. Man, there are a lot of quarterbacks that I play with, I'm around, other teams. I go, it just doesn't mean enough to them.
Right.
They show it in their actions. They show it in the way they play. They didn't get any better. And there's guys, and I can even think of them. The first one that comes to my mind to see, do you remember Billy Kilmer, the name?
Yeah.
Okay, he was quarterback for the Washington Redskins at the time. Mm-hmm. Billy Kilmer couldn't throw. He couldn't run. He's not big. He had nothing. He threw wobblers. He was a damn running back in college. But the guy had a personality that galvanized people and players. And his toughness was beyond belief. Hell, he went to the Super Bowl. He got destroyed physically in that game in the Super Bowl.
But still, he got him there.
Yeah, helmet's coming off. Give me that helmet. So that's, and really, honestly, I think you can measure that, the Giants can, with all these guys are looking at, because, man, they're getting 1, 2, 3 looks at these guys. You can figure it out and know at least what we're talking about and pick the guy that really fits what you want.
Yeah.